I did not enter the world of stand-up comedy thinking that it would be my career. I just did it for a laugh, just the same as any woman might go to a knitting class or a cookery workshop or a spin class. I just thought, oh, there's a comedy club right next to the Hooters where I waitress. I'll go do stand-up there. Because I was always saying things in a corporate waitressing environment, and Hooters specifically, you're meant to be very subservient and very like non-threatening type of lovely cheerleader. And I had the type of smart mouth that was not welcome there. And I thought, well, I don't want to be that way. I want to be like one of these soft, gentle women that have happy lives. So I will exercise my demons at this comedy club, and then I can return to Hooters and become the like beautiful 25-year-old woman that I want to be. And it didn't work out that way. I just spent more and more time in the comedy club. I always really valued comedy growing up in my house. I think that my parents, though they had really regular jobs. My dad has an engineering company and my mom is a computer like systems analyst consultant. They're funny people, but there are loads of funny people that I meet now who have very mainstream jobs. I would get out of trouble at home by being funny. If I could make my mom laugh, then I could bully my sister a little bit. I knew my mom would be getting me in trouble, but kind of laughing. But that was not the environment when I went to school. If I said anything that was provocative at school, and I wasn't doing it on purpose, I genuinely was not. My sense of humor, whatever it was, unbridled at age 10. It just was different. When a kid's different, they're not embraced by the school community. So my parents would put me in other performing things to get me on stage, but make me sort of shut up a little bit at the same time. So I did dance, I did tap, jazz, ballet, lyrical, acro, I did gymnastics, I took piano lessons, I sang, I did musical theater. I did a lot of things. I was a very busy child. Really academic too, you'd never know it. I seem like really thick now. Hooters did that to me. I blame Hooters for undoing the good work of the Canadian education system. But yeah, I just think that everything should be a laugh. I really think, what is the point if you're being too earnest or too serious about something? I've always just wanted to sing and dance and have a laugh. When I first started performing stand-up comedy in the UK, certainly I could tell that my accent was special, that there was something about my presence, the way I speak was funny to British people straight away. And I thought, well, that's weird, because I had never experienced that trust in Canada. And you do get quite the opposite, especially 14 years ago. It would be like, ugh, well, sorry, there's a woman coming on stage, and you know, quips about how you should be stripping or whatever. So that's not a great amount of trust to enter a stage to. But the first gigs that I did in the UK were in Shoreditch in London at the Comedy Cafe. And I found, yeah, I had a much warmer reception straight away. And I could tell that while I was considered maybe alternative in Canada, I wasn't considered alternative in the UK, because everyone was kind of alternative. There are all these different, certainly in Shoreditch, quirky types of comedians. I met my good friend Sarah Pascoe at that gig. I could just tell. Someone else on the gig was doing jokes about Henry VIII, and I didn't even know who that was. It was definitely a more literary alternative experience, and I loved it. As a famous celebrity comedian, I do think that if you're given a platform, rather big or small, whatever it is, there are meaningful changes that you can do. And I do believe, unfortunately, in a number of ethical causes. It would be so much easier if I didn't. But I think you don't have to be outwardly a political comedian to have some agenda and political values. Like I do speak up for different causes that I believe in all the time, like female, like body dysmorphia, that type of thing. And that's because I know that there are a lot of teenage girls who reach out to me. Social media is a beautiful tool, actually, because comedy is a conversation. It's not meant to be a one-sided conversation all the time when you're just watching telly. I love hearing from the people who come to my shows. And I know that a lot of those people will be trans youth, LGBT community, young teenage girls. So I really try to be a voice for issues that affect that fan base. But equally, if there's something going on for like men's mental health, suicide prevention, testicular cancer, those types of things, people think I hate men just because I don't keep one in my house. I absolutely dislike toxic masculinity that limits men and what they're able to do in their lives. I want to help men. I know about the suicide rates. I know about men's mental health and how important it is for our entire society. So I listen and I try to be reactive and proactive about that kind of thing. I could be doing it all day, every day and let it overshadow the comedy. So I think it's good to just, you could be retweeting every charity all day. There's a lot going on. So it's good to be mindful and vigilant and vocal about the things that matter to the people who follow you. Even if I'm just kidding, some silly joke about gender disparity or like the LGBT community, what might seem just like a silly joke on stage normalizes something like being gay, normalizes something like a young girl having bullying happen to her at school or body issues. She'll hear that and it could just sound silly, but be like, oh, wait, do you know what? Oh, I never thought about it that way. And it could actually do some good, even this much good. I don't know. I do care. I'm very sharp-tongued towards celebrities, and they deserve it. They're awful, evil, trash, garbage people, and I think celebrities, I could be wrong. I trust that celebrities are in on the joke, and when a comedian punches up at a celebrity, I think that's absolutely fair play. But then again, I'm the type of person, I love comedy roasts. I work with Jimmy Carr a lot. We do Roast Battle on Comedy Central. I find a well-worded roast to be quite an honor. And so there are celebrities that I have lampooned before. Cheryl Cole, for example. I don't wish any specific harm should come upon Cheryl Cole. What I'm really lampooning when I talk about Cheryl Cole and some of her brushes with the law, all I'm talking about really is us as the culture, as the consumer, excusing poor behavior because someone is the most beautiful woman in the world. So that's like the meta narrative of what I talk about when I say like, oh, Cheryl Cole, absolutely gorgeous like a baby. I talk about Cheryl Cole. I'm not trying to hurt Cheryl Cole. I'm using it as this commonality, someone that we all know in common so that we can have a greater conversation about someone else. It's tricky because people say, if you're a feminist, then you should not criticize Taylor Swift. Well, being a feminist means that I believe in equal rights. It doesn't mean that one should never criticize another woman's actions. So, I mean, it is a minefield, but I love celebrity culture. I think it's very relaxing. I watch it. I watch the Kardashians. I'm into it for the meta-narrative. There are some big themes in there, big themes, and I'm unapologetic about that. And I think I hope that they know it's coming from a place of love. I used to work in an office when I first came to the UK, and I loved being part of a sales team. And we would go out to the big awards at the end of the year, or the big treat. We'd do a Christmas party with the whole, it was a corporate event, and I would watch the performers. We'd have acrobats, we'd have comedians, we'd have whatever. And so I know from that point of view how special those nights were, and it was really lovely to be able to go out with the whole team and celebrate your achievements, your professional achievements throughout the year. So one really important thing for me when doing any corporate is never, ever, ever to disparage the people who are there to celebrate what they've achieved. I would never disparage a sponsor. I would never disparage this young girl who's just won like Upstart Salesperson of the Year. Never would I take away from that moment. And I get quite wrapped up in it too, because I miss being part of a team and I love delivering good news and exponentially more bad news because people don't win. But I love saying like the winner is, I get really into it. And that, I don't think it's a challenge, but it is something that's quite important to me, is to always be mindful that it's their night and they can do whatever they want. If they want to stay and take selfies, if they wish for me to record a voicemail for their aunt, those are things that I like to do because I used to be them and I would be them again. I'd probably get fired quite quickly. I'm not good at sales. Doing a corporate set is a lot different from being on tour because we have toured at least 6 or 7 different narrative shows in our career, I think usually, or I have. And some of that in an hour or an hour and a half is a journey, and that is not the appropriate material for corporate. I don't like to go too blue or too meaningful, or I like to take the most fam-friendly, like high-octane bits from all my tours that I know work standalone on their own. Those people are not here for a massive narrative. I just try to do jokes that are inclusive, and everybody says, oh, well, don't be too mean, Katherine. I'm never mean. I'm never, ever, ever mean at a corporate event. And I certainly don't want to alienate anybody, and certainly not alienate any sponsor. So if I, for example, happened to have a bit about Marmite, which I don't, you wouldn't want to pull that bit out at the annual Marmite festival. You don't want to slag, because it does happen. I've slagged off marathons just because it's an evil thing to say. Slag off marathons. Everybody loves a marathon. They're for charity. It's a wonderful thing. So I slag it off. And there was one corporate where I slagged off marathons, and they had just done this big thing. One of their workers had done a massive marathon because someone in his family was ill with something. It was the wrong time to slag off marathons. So I've learned, just try to be positive. Be fun. Talk about things that are not too new, not going to alienate anyone, not too political, just because they're there to have a nice time. They don't really want to learn anything. But marathons really need to stop. For me, corporate gigs are really always a mixed bag, really, really different, and I never take it personally. Some corporate awards, they're super polite, and they watch you, and they're silent, like they're seeing an opera or a theater show, and they're not really sure if they can laugh as uproariously as they might if they were in a comedy club, or if they'd come to see you on purpose on tour. They're next to their boss, or they're next to someone from work that they're having an affair with. I don't know what goes on in your offices, but and a lot of them have not come to see you on purpose. They don't know who you are. They don't like you. They do know who you are. You're never, ever, ever going to please everyone. And often people are chatty. They've had a drink, or they have their own agenda. They were talking. They're not paying attention. Sometimes they're paying too close, quiet attention. It's a mixed bag. It's always different. And I just think if you can hold the attention of the room pretty well throughout most of it, then it's fine. It's fine with me if people want to have a little chat in that corner, or if they're not the same exact reaction that I would expect from a tour show. I really don't mind, because it's not my night. It is their night. As long as they're not and all, filing out, then I've had a wonderful time.